Hello, hello, hello. I am hoping you can hear me okay. Welcome, everyone. Here I am doing this again. So here's the thing. By the way, I'm very, very, very glad you're here. I am trying desperately to get into a rhythm with doing these lives and feeling more comfortable doing them. No sound. No sound, Mike. Oh, wait. Yeah, we can. Now they're saying all good. Okay, thank you. Sorry. I saw no sound. It just made me panic. So I'm trying to get into feeling more comfortable doing these. Thanks to a lot of encouragement from Kathy, Z, trying my best. So I thought, you know what? It's Sunday afternoon, busy time during the holidays. Let's escape for a little bit of crafting. Well, here's what happened. I decided that I wanted to play with a new release that I've been really wanting to use. And so I didn't really plan what I'm doing, which is a big risk for me, a huge risk for me. And then about 5 minutes before we were set to go, I couldn't find the main stencil that I needed for the technique I was going to do today. And Mike, my brother, who's my tech guy, the two of us were digging through the trash. We were digging through, you should have seen the panic. And so after doing a few of these lives and getting comfortable, I'm now back to panicking. Well done, right?
Yep, very well done.
That's what I do. I do apologize. I've had a cold all weekend, so I have taken some cold meds, so I'm not completely 100% going strong today, but I thought it'd be fun to play anyways. So anyway, what I thought I would do today is just use some supplies that I've been wanting to use, and then also try to answer some questions in the comments. I'm not sure how good I'll be at doing those two things at the same time, but I'm going to give it my best shot. If I miss your question, I encourage you to ask again. Put question in big letters, big caps, so I try to see them. I'll do my best, but remember, like, this is not at all natural for me, so I'm just trying here. I wanted to use a new release from Waffle Flower. So Waffle Flower has been one of my favorite companies for a long time. The owner, Nina, I think she's here today, is a really neat human who is very kind and generous and supportive of designers and really big in building this great community that we have. And she had a release that came out, I think last week or a few days ago, and I didn't get a chance to use it, so I thought I'd use it today. Well, I was talking to Nina today saying that I was probably going to use her supplies in this live, and she said, what if I gave your viewers a discount code? So if you refresh this page in the description, there'll be a code so you can get 20% off your order at Waffle Flower, which is, you guys, for these small businesses, that is very generous. That's very hard to offer, and it's hard to offer during a busy time of year. That means more orders coming in and they got to keep up with it. So a big thanks to Nina for that. I thought that was really sweet of her. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to make today. How's that for going strong? I have a few things, and I thought I'd show them to you and see what your opinion is on what I should do. Because there's a few different things and I like them all, and I'm equally unprepared for both. So for basically the two types of ideas I have here. So let me know. Let me show you what I've got here. Nina's in here. I think Nina's in here. She's Waffle Flower. So everybody say thanks to Waffle Flower. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I know there's football you could be watching, right? Oh, well. Okay. Oops. Let's go to overhead. Okay. So I just have some of the new Waffle Flower release here, but I also have on hand some older Waffle Flower supplies. First of all, let me show you one of the things. A while ago, I did a video, which I have linked below, for this card here. So it's this little opening. It has these little bears that intertwine, and then you open it and you can write your personal greeting on the inside. And I really love this one, and I ended up making quite a few of them. And I was excited because Nina came out with dog dies that do the same thing. So you can do the same kind of card, but with dogs. and you can put, there's like little collars and bandanas that you can decorate them with. So I was considering doing that because these look like my two doggies. So I was thinking about that. However, I also was considering the postage die. I did a video using this a few months ago, and it was really popular. People really like this. And she's come out with some new products to coordinate with it. And I thought I could demonstrate a few different ways to use that. So I'm not really sure. Let me know what you're thinking between the dog flap card or doing the postage. Oh, Debbie asked where the missing stencil was. It was in the wrong pocket. But you know when you have a bunch of stencils in a pocket, I usually put a blue cardstock in there so that I can see the stencil when it's in there, but I had it in a white pocket and it was in the wrong place. And it was the key stencil that would work for everything I wanted to do. All right, I see a lot of postage. I see a dog. I will say if I do the postage, the dog one is very easy to do. If you watch my video showing how to do the bear, it's the exact same technique, but with the dogs. So I think I'll do the postage today. And the dog one, if you want to know how to use these, watch this video. And if you look in my description below, right at the top, it says there's a visual supply list. I think Mike's going to pin that. Can you pin that up at the top of its chat?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a visual supply list. If you click that, it'll open up in another tab and you'll see lots of supplies listed, little thumbnails. And in those thumbnails, I have a link to this video. Okay. And I have a link to all of the things that I'm using today. I think most of the people are saying postage. Maybe if the postage goes well, which I totally do not expect me to go smoothly today, I'll do the dogs after. What do you think? Okay, well, I'm going to go with the postage, and we can always come back to the dogs. Maybe I'll make a dog one and put it on Instagram or something if I run out of time today. But I just thought that was super cute. Now, the postage, I did want to mention that Waffle Flower is giving that 20% off everything. A couple of the things in here are sold out right now, but she has them on pre-order, and you can get 20% off on that pre-order too. So don't worry about that. Okay, I'm so glad to see so many friends here today. Welcome everyone, I appreciate it. That doesn't matter. Okay, so Mike, can you put up a couple of my old postage cards? He's going to put on the screen. These are some of the postage cards I made in a previous video, and I have that linked in that visual supply list. But I just wanted to show you what you can do with these dies. These were my previous cards. We're going to do some new approaches to these dies because I'm all about stretching our supplies, right? So those are 3 different cards that my older video has. Again, it's linked in that visual supply list below. All right. Jill wants to know, Nina, will you do a cat intertwined cat die? Because we've got all of our cat lovers out there. That's a good question because I really like that die. It's really fun. Okay, so let me go back to overhead. Okay, so a while ago, Waffle Flower came out with this postage collage, and I really liked this one. I, in fact, went ahead and die cut a bunch of these. And there are just a lot of ways that you can use this. You can use masking tape to mask off each of these little areas to create your own little postage. You can cut right down the center of the dots to create individual postage pieces. So you could have a simple card that maybe just has this one postage stamp at the center with a small sentiment underneath it. There are many different ways you can use a die like that, and that's why I wanted to approach this today in the live with some new ideas. Now, she's come out with a lot that coordinates with this. Oh, and by the way, this die set comes with these other little postage dies too. Now, she has a bunch of different stencils and stamp sets that coordinate with this, different themes, but the basic one has these 2 stencils. Let me put some paper behind this so you can see. This one has, this is like the basic, it has little dots, you've got stars, butterflies, and one of the examples I just showed you was that. But also with that is this stencil, which is the perfect mask to go over this die cut. So it lines up wonderfully. So you can do any inking here. any stamping, any stenciling over this and create a different look. So this can be easily mixed with other supplies, and that's what I thought I would do today. But keep in mind, I don't know that I'm going to use them today, but keep in mind that she has, these were the holiday ones, which I did in that last example. There were the holiday, or no, this is the everyday. This has like a bunch of different postage that it creates. There's the hands, the envelope, the, let's see, the hearts. There we go. So it's like a hand holding an envelope or holding a heart. You've got the envelope, the leaves, the envelopes, flowers and flowers. So this is like an everyday one. There's also a fall themed one and a Christmas themed one. And now there's a rose themed one. So I could use that today. But I might change it up and do something a little bit different. So you can see these all line up. Let me get them to line up. Come on. These all line up together and all will line up with the die. So can you see that kind of? And this one says with love here on this postage. So you can use some of the layers, you can use one or two. It's really up to you how you use these. But I wanted to mention that you can use other stamps and dies on these. And that's what I thought I would try today. So first let's try using other stencils, like full-size stencils, over these postage. Now, I have no idea if this will work. How's that? I have no idea. What do you think, Mike? Do you think it'll work?
Oh, it'll work.
It'll work. He's my brother. He's supposed to say that, right? All right. Michelle is in her pajamas. So am I. Here, let me see. Can I? I don't know that I can do that. Pajamas. There's no other way to craft, right? Okay, so I will be using today my Waffle Flower Grip Mat. Now, I just put out yesterday my crafty gift guide for 2023, and this was definitely one of my top items on the list. This is basically a giant clear stamp. It is the same material as a clear stamp, so you know how much stick that has, and it's wonderful for holding things in place when you're crafting. Now, I saw somebody ask they can't decide what size to get. Now, that's a personal preference. Waffle Flower has a lot of different options, which I really appreciate. But I go with the 8.5 by 6.5 because it fits in my MISTI. So I can always have this in here instead of the foam pad. And I can place, a piece of cardstock or die cut on there, and it's going to hold it in place as I stamp on it. So that's why I chose the 8.5 by 6.5, because it fits in my MISTI and I can use it with or without. Now on the back of my mat, I have the clear printed acetate that has a green grid on it. I have that on the back just so I can benefit from that grid when I have it in my stamping tool. And that covers most of the stick on the back. There's only stick around the edge, so it makes it faster to peel up out of my stamping tool and onto my desk. So you can put that on the back, you can skip it, whatever you want. Sometimes I don't have it on there, but today I do. I'm working on a glass work surface, so I can just press this on here and it'll stay put as I'm doing my inking. Okay, so I already have die cut one of these postage using the Waffle Flower Postage Collage die. And again, all the different products I showed you coordinate. And there's even these little stamp sets that allow you to do little postage images on there too. A bunch of those, I'll probably use those at the end. I think. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't believe I'm doing this. If you guys only knew. If you only knew. Okay. I thought it'd be fun, instead of using the stencils that are designed to line up and do a different image in each of these, I am going to use a big layering stencil over the whole thing. But I want to use the original stencil. Oh no, Mike, I lost it again. The original stencil, here it is, to mask it off so I end up with individual postage, but the rose goes over the whole thing. Somebody asked a question. I thought there was somebody, I think somebody might have asked how I clean the mat. What do you use to clean the Waffle Flower mat? I use Hero Arts Ultra Clean. which is it's a cleaner for clear stamps, and the scrub brush. Let me get that. This was on my list of favorites too. I use this. So I'll spray it, scrub it with this, which is soft, and then use a wet cloth to clean it. You can use gentle soap and water. Honestly, I don't clean it a whole lot. Maybe you can take a baby wipe or a wet cloth to just wipe off excess ink. It's going to stain by some inks, but that's how clear stamps are. That means you've got a high quality material that this is made out of. Okay, so I have my postage stamp. I'm going to put it on my sticky mat here, and we're going to cross our fingers. Okay, now this is the original stencil that I showed you that lines up with this. And there are little grid lines on this etched into it. I don't know if you can see that, that line up with the faux postage on here. Now you could really make sure that lines up great, or you can be like me and just hope for the best. Now I can press along the edge, and watch as I press this, you can see how it starts to suction against that grip mat. So now my stencil's not gonna move. It's gonna stay put there and stay in place as we do whatever we want on here. And what's really cool here is you could stamp on this. So if you have a background stamp, you could stamp over this and it would mask the separations. You could do stenciling. You could do ink blending. You can do add little die cuts in there, anything that you want to do. I'm going to use this lovely rose layering set. Let me line it up here and do that over this. But since I put this stencil down already, it'll mask those divisions. So this is a reminder to you that if you have maybe a stencil with big open dots, you can put that on a piece of cardstock, then put another stencil on top of that and ink over it, and then you'd end up with only that pattern in dots. Here, we're going to put this on top of the postage stencil, so we'll only end up with those areas stenciled and not those in between. All right, let me just check and see. The grid, so I did put the acetate grid that's clear with green lines on it. That, I believe, is cut smaller. I don't think I cut it. I think it comes cut smaller. And that way there's a little sticky exposed on the side, I believe. But Nina's here. Hopefully she'll answer that question for you. I have a new one I can open if she's not here anymore. Okay, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm using, there is a visual supply list if you click in the description below, and it'll pop up in a new tab and you can see everything there. And there's also in my description a code to save 20% off at Waffle Flower because Nina rocks. And just so you know, Nina didn't ask me to do this live. I told her I was doing it and she was very generous to offer that. Okay, now the cool thing about stencils, and I think something we often forget, is we look at the little names on it. See how it says Waffle Flower there? And you got the etching. And we think we have to use it that way. But one of the best things about stencils is you can use them upside down. So instead of having a flower that points that way, you can have a flower pointing that way. And so maybe you have like a bird stencil or something and you want your bird kind of flying the other way on the card, just use your stencils upside down. And that's what I'm doing today. I wanted my rose to kind of face that way instead of that way. So I'm actually using my stencil upside down. Okay.
A lot of people are asking their nail color.
Oh, my nails. I should have put that on there. I'll add it to the link below. They are nails that you just stick on with sticker. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. I'll find it. They're from Impress Nails. I will find it and I will share it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first stencil. This is upside down. This is the lovely roses. I'm winging this. I have no idea what I'm doing. All right, I'm pressing this down, and remember that the stencil will be held in place by the sticky mat. Now this side isn't stuck here because it's on top of the other stencil. So what I like to do is I've got this blank stencil material. I talked about this in my crafty gift guide also, that I'm just going to put over here and press down, and that will just kind of help to hold everything down. I really don't think I need it, but I'm going to put it there. Okay, so over the stencil, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. Let's think about this. Let's do, should I do a rainbow, like a rainbow, simple rainbow rose, or should I do a solid colored rose? Let me know what you all think. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. But help a lady out. Tell me what color flower to do. I'm not sure what I want to do. Now I need to find my ink stands. I can't ink blend without my ink stands. So let me know, do you think I should, the code is in the description. If you don't see it in the description, refresh your browser and it'll be there. But the code is JM Ink. So you can go to Waffle Flower and use JM Ink and get 20% off everything, even the grip mats, which is huge because that's a hot commodity. Christmas rainbow. Ooh, that sounds exciting. Solid rainbow ombre. Oh, blue rose. Okay, you know what? I'm going with Nina. Nina's here, and she said blue rose, so I'm doing blue rose. How's that? But now I need to find blue ink. Let's mix some inks here. Hang on. I'm going to mix Hero Arts and Altenew. So I have Hero Arts, Cornflower, and Altenew Ride the Wave. Do I know that these are the same like blue family? No idea. But when you blend things together, it'll be just fine. Okay. Now, for this first stencil, it's just one big rose. Can you see it there? It's just like the lighter part of the rose. And I'm going to do the whole thing the same color. Now, you could do rainbow, ombre. You all have beautiful ideas there. But I'm going for easy because this is really hard. All right. So I'm using a big blending brush because I'm covering a big area, and then I'll switch to a smaller blending brush after that. All right. So here, this is the Cornflower Blue. Again, I don't have everything linked below because I had no idea what I was doing, but I linked a lot of the things that I might use. So you can probably find a lot of those down there. Now this is, again, Cornflower Blue from Hero Arts, which is a nice, like a soft denim color. And I'm going to try to go a little bit heavier in the center, just a bit. Now this is my first time using the stencil, and I'm a big fan of using the stencil as it was intended, like the easiest way, as I'm doing here, the first time you use it. And then you can get more creative once you're comfortable with it. And right now, there's nothing comfortable about this. So, woo. All right. I know, I'm fine. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this stencil. Look how pretty that blue is. But I'm leaving the postage mask on there because I really want to block that off so that when we're done, we have those defined postage. So this is the first layer of that stencil. Now I need the second stencil, and because I did the first one upside down, this one I'm doing upside down. And again, the only reason I did it upside down was so that I could get a different look from my stencil. That's really one of the best things that I can recommend you do in crafting is come up with ways to use your supplies a little bit different than they were intended. It makes you feel creative, it boosts your creativity, and it allows you to get more value out of the supplies you use. All right, Susan's saying, I can't find it. What can you not find? We'll put, if you refresh your browser, if it's the discount code and stuff, just refresh your browser and it's in the description below. But Mike will also add it here in the chat. Vicky said I'm rocking it. Vicky, you're an angel. I need Vicky to come live here and just cheer me on. She's a good cheerleader.
My job.
Oh, you're here to make sure I don't lose my mind. There's a difference between the two. All right. Next, this one, let me hold it up here. This stencil was very easy to line up. There are grid marks to help line it up, but I was able to just line up these little dividers in the rows, and it's absolutely fine. So with this one, I want to do blue in the center, but then the leaves and everything around it, I want a different color. So I'm going to switch to a smaller blending brush because I find when you want to do selective inking, which means different colors over one stencil, it's best to switch to smaller. I also have here that blank stencil material that I can use to mask off any of those areas that I want in a different color, just so I don't accidentally head in that direction. On this one, I don't think I need to mask that off, but I'm doing it because you know what? I think I could use all the help I can get. Now these are the Waffle Flower double-ended blending brushes, and I just included this on my crafty gift guide. These are great for a few reasons. First, I like when I have a small blending brush, I like the bristles to be short. I feel like you get more control when you're doing it, when you're inking with it. I also like this brush because it has two ends. So you can either have like green on one end and blue on the other, which is like a saver of space and of, the cost. What I did is I do dark blue on one end, light blue on the other, and I have a different brush for the different color families. Now I think there's 5 of these sold together, really high quality. One of the things that Nina at Waffle Flower does a good job of is she works her tail off to look for the best manufacturer on supplies. A lot of these companies do, but Nina is like really deep into this. So she really tests these out. She has a bunch of different brushes available, but these are the ones that I really, really like. And they're really quite affordable because you can get this set. I'm not sure what it costs. You can use a 20% off, but it takes up less space too. And I just keep mine in a container standing on one end. Haven't found that it does any damage to that other end at all. So I am going to use my blue one here. And this blue ink, this is Ride the Wave from Altenew. And it is, you can see there, it is a bold blue ink and it is gorgeous. So I'm going to tap some of that ink off, like either in the lid or on this extra stencil material. Ooh, I got to block off over here. And then just go around the areas. Now you could really get a lot of control with these small brushes to make it darker in some areas and lighter in others. One thing that would be really fun over this large stencil is to do like a two-tone look. Like maybe do more of a coral towards the center and more of a yellow out on the edge. I love those kind of roses that kind of blend between two different colors. But I'm just going to stick with going dark blue over the light blue because, I'm still getting used to this kind of thing. And I have a little fly that is flying around me on the screen. I hope you all don't see that. So this is a bold color, and if you want to control your color, tap off in the lid because then you can grab that ink when you want to or off onto your stencil. I don't recommend, onto your mask. I don't really recommend, knocking it off, the extra ink off on paper because then it goes to waste. This way, when I need a little more ink, I can go pick up that ink. And I am doing what you call not the best blending. Now, I accidentally got my brush under this little stencil here, this little area. The way to avoid that, which I didn't do, is to lay this little extra material down so it doesn't lift up. But I should have done that all along, but I didn't. So I'm going to now go real heavy with that dark in the center. Isn't that color pretty? I know a lot of the questions I get are what inks do you recommend? Like I want to start with one ink line. What do you recommend? I recommend going for the colors you like. There's no reason to stick to one ink line. You can, like I'm using Hero Arts and Waffle Flower today, go for the colors. I went for the colors I like. Watch videos, look at samples on their website and go for the colors that you like. All right, question. Let me answer some questions before I move on. Are those brushes evenly rounded or angled? There is a tiny, can you see that? A tiny angle to it. But I don't notice it and I don't really pay attention to that when I'm blending it. What size brush would be a good start for small areas? This is a good one. I think this is a good one. I put in my crafty gift guide list, which is a video I put up last night, very late because I have no life. In that I share the 3 types of blending brushes that I found I've been reaching for the most. So you can check that out if you want.
What size those are?
These are shader 1, and they come double-sided, double-ended, double whatever, and then with the double. But I go for the double. Always worth more, right? Double the fun. All right, now I want to switch to another color here for the leaves. So I'm going to do a quick spray of rubbing alcohol in the stencil. And I have this dry cloth that I'm going to wipe it clean with because I don't want to accidentally get blue in areas I don't want. So there you can see how it's going. That right there is where my brush got underneath and I should have held that down. Live and learn. I can fix that with a white gel pen and no one would ever know except those of you who are here watching. Bless your hearts. Okay, Now I'm going to line that same stencil back up because now I need to do those leaves around the side. I'm going to have some fun with the leaves. I'm going to use two different colors here. Let's see. I'm going to use, hang on. I think I'll use Let Us Celebrate, which is a great true green. If you want like a good old Kelly green, try that Let Us Celebrate. And then another color that I love is Kiwi from Hero Arts. But what I'm doing today, folks, you could do with absolutely any inks you want. And I encourage you to just try different companies' inks. Find what you like. Everybody's different. Everybody is different in what they like. Yeah, the double-ended is a great option. I do have, like, this one is a shader one. I haven't used this one yet. This is a new one that I just got out. And it's the same, I think, shader 1 plus. This is double, this is 1. So you do have the option. And somebody asked on my crafty gift guide, like, do I have a problem storing this on one tip? I don't. But if you're concerned, you can have them laying down on a little tray. Okay. Yes, rubbing alcohol is the best way to clean stencils of ink. Now, if you're using like a glaze or a glitter paste, go run that under your sink in your kitchen. I don't encourage you to go to the kitchen often to do things, but that's one thing you want to do. But if you're just inking with a stencil, one quick spray of rubbing alcohol, any kind of rubbing alcohol, and then wipe it with a dry cloth and you're good to go. All right.
They store the double-ended ones.
The double-ended ones, I just store, let me see. They're not organized at the moment because my life is a mess. But you can kind of see, this is where I'll have them. So I have some of my Altenew ones here, and this is where I had them. It's a little lip gloss container, and you can actually put 4 of them together in one little slot. But I just have 2 in each slot. This is where I pulled them from. I have them off screen right now here because I'm using them, but normally they go in this drawer here, or in this container in this drawer here. If you're looking for this container, I have it linked in my crafty gift guide video. All right. Sorry. My drawer's going to be messed up. Okay. All right, let's do our leaves here. Let me turn this. And see, the nice thing about having that grid mat under there is it's easier to move this and then press it back down where I want. And I'm going to do the leaves down here. And I wanted to do 2-tone. So I have my light tip and my dark tip to my blending brush here. And you'll see the advantage of that. I can do these 2 colors. So in the dark here, I'm going to start here because this is a bold green ink. And you know what? There are little dots that this does. I could try to mask and mask that off to do them in different colors, but I'm going to be lazy. And I'm going to make those dots green, and I'll show you something you can do later to change that. So I'm going kind of heavy at the base of these leaves using the dark green. And this I'm just laying here so I don't get into that little bit of blue. So you can see how this is handy. If you don't, this is blank stencil material that I cut into strips. I share it in my crafty gift guide video. But if you don't have something like that, just use scrap paper. Use your mail. Use like your junk mail envelopes. Put those to good use, and you can use those as like a mask as you're inking. Did I move that? Nope, I didn't. Okay, so I did the dark Let Us Celebrate. Now I'm going to switch over to the Kiwi and do that like towards the tip. Now this is a slightly different color, not much. I may have to get a little more creative here. Let me see. Another way you could do this is you could do the whole leaf green, like a light green or lighter application of green color, and then do a little bit of teal at the base, and it'll give it like a bluish green. Or you could do heavy green at the base and yellow at the tip, and that will kind of blend into a yellow, and it would be beautiful. But again, I'm going to go as easy as I can here. Okay, so I did those leaves there. There are a few little dots down here. I'm going to go ahead and fill in those dots. Then we got to come up here. All right. Any questions out there, Mike? Hit me up if there are.
Yeah.
What questions?
Well, I asked about where you get blank stencils.
Blank stencil. That's on my crafty gift guide. It's the last video I put up. I put it up last night, and I talk about it in there, and I have a link there. And my nails, I'm going to have to add the nail link later. They're from Impress. Impress manicures. They're fake. I stick them on. No nasty chemical glues, just little stickers. I don't like using nail polish. I found that it gives me headaches, and I try to eliminate as many chemicals as I can in different parts of my life. So I stopped painting my nails, and these you just stick on like a sticker and they peel off like a sticker. Anyway, maybe not the classiest thing in the world, but it works for me, and it's fast. Okay, so I'm putting Let Us Celebrate again on the base of the leaves down to Kiwi on the tip. And then there's some little dots over here. We'll color those in. All right. How do I clean blenders or blending brushes, I assume? I don't. Listen, I don't want to clean unless I absolutely have to clean. So I don't clean my blending brushes. If I want to switch from like this to switch from this Kelly green color to like an olive, I'll just take this and rub it onto a cloth and knock off the excess ink and then switch. I never clean these. I don't. I think some people do. I don't know why. If I find I've used a brush for a very long time and they might get kind of, like they might look like this one, you can see has been loved. Keep loving it. It'll be fine. I do think a lot of inking tools work better the more love you give them. Stamps work better the more love you give them. Blending brushes do too. So I don't worry about cleaning them. But I also do think that it's important to kind of have a brush for each color family, like green, blue, red, so on. You don't need like 4 blues, just need 1. All right, question. Do you think you need a different blending brush for oxide inks? I do. I have blending brushes in my drawer right here next to me. I'll try to take a picture and put it on Instagram. And that's for all of my dye inks and distress inks. So most dye inks, most of the inks I use are dye inks or distress inks. Those are a type of dye ink. I do have in a drawer a different set of brushes for oxide inks because those actually have a bit of pigment type ink in them. So I don't like to mix that. And if I were to use pigment inks, I don't use them really anymore, I would have a different type of brush for that. But honestly, I like to use Tim Holtz ink blending tools like this if I'm using pigment inks or oxide inks. So I have those too. It's really a lot about preference, but I do think the best thing to do is get brushes that you just use with your dye inks and then something different for oxide. The blending ink foams are good for that. I hope that answered the question. Okay, so now I'll take this off. And this is how I clean. Somebody asked about cleaning. This is rubbing alcohol. I just stole it from the bathroom. And I do 1 or 2 sprays, dry cloth, and wipe both sides. Then you don't have to wait for it to dry, and it cleans it beautifully. All right, so Mike is putting all the information there. Yeah, Pouncer, yes, as Nina says, waffle flour. Nina, waffle flour. She said pouncers work better for pigment ink. I put these on my crafty gift guide. These work really well too. So I like these pouncers because they're a little bit tighter. So that's in that video also. These are also good if you have little intricate parts of a stencil that you're afraid will move as you're inking. Okay, now I'm going to take this off, but I'm probably going to put it back on. Maybe, we'll see. Okay, so now see how I still have the division of each of those little postage stamps because I had this under my rose stencils. So don't be afraid to layer your stencils together. I think it gives you a completely different look. And I'll try to do a video showing more examples of that. All right, now I'm going to clean this one. I took it off to clean off all that blue and green ink. And then I think I really want the division to show more. Does that make sense? So I'm going to put it back on and do some light inking. Vicki had a question. What's it say? Brenda did. How do you keep the cloth from catching on delicate This cloth doesn't catch. This is on my crafty gift guide list also. It doesn't catch. Like there's no loops or anything, so I don't really have any problems with that. The Simon Says Stamp mini pouncers are good too. These just are a little bit tighter, and you can swap out the tips for different colors. So, you know, there are a lot of great options out there. You know, and everybody has different preferences. Just because I use one over another doesn't mean another, you know, one's bad. So there are other options out there. And I have not done a price comparison on any of those. Okay, so I have lined that back up there. And I thought it'd be good to do like a light bit of color here, right around the edges. I'm going to use sea glass, if I can find it. Yes. This may need re-inking because this is one of my most used ink pads. This is Gina K Sea Glass. Beautiful, beautiful color. And I'm going to go around the edges a little bit. Now, you could really have fun taking the time to mask. I'm not going to. I'm just going to go around the edges to kind of get a little definition on these squares. Does that make sense? All right. Yeah, so this is, again, Nina has many wonderful designed stencils that line up with this postage. A lot of them. Mike, can you show one of the examples while I just ink around these edges? These are some examples that I did a while ago. See how she's got stencils that line up with this postage, so you can create those with ease. See that? That's the same die that I'm using here. But and she also has some fall ones and some love ones. And Nina is not paying me to say this. I just think they're really well thought out. And I appreciate when a company comes out with a product like this die and then comes out with more to use with it, so that you have options and also can get more out of your product. There's a question there. What's that question, Mike? All right, so I'm just putting this to define the edges. What? I thought I saw one.
Yeah.
What is it? Okay, read it to me. I can't. I'm not that smooth.
It said, do you use pigment inks anymore? Why don't you use pigment inks anymore?
Do I use pigment inks anymore? Honestly, I don't. Because I don't really have many. Most companies seem to have dye inks, so that's just kind of what I've been using. But if you have old pigment inks and re-inkers, go to town with them. They're very great inks, and there's a lot of perks to it. But if you want like a pigment ink, so dye inks, when you stamp with a dye ink, it absorbs into the paper and dries very quickly, right? It kind of the way I think of it is dye ink dyes the paper. It really soaks into it. Now, pigment inks, it's more like a pigment. This is not technical. This is just how I think of it. It's a pigment ink that sits on top of the paper more. So if you stamped with like a white pigment ink, which I love to do, on black, you'll see the white. But if you stamped with a blue dye ink on black, you wouldn't see it because it absorbs in. It doesn't sit on top. Okay, so I did a little bit. Can you see that little bit of sea glass around the edge? So now that when I take it off, see how the lines of the postage are more defined. I just thought that added a little bit more. Now there are additional things I could do to this, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid to do it live. One of the things you could do, and I think would be beautiful, is to, I'm just going to share these ideas because I want to show some other things too if I don't run out of time. One of the things you could do is put this stencil on, pick this up, put it into your Misty stamping tool, and stamp with like a text background stamp. If you've watched my videos, you know I love like the Simon Says Stamp text background stamps, or the Gina K music background stamp, something with a small pattern, a small repetitive pattern, and stamp over this with like a light gray ink or that sea glass ink. And then you would also have the interest of that text in there. I think that would be beautiful. So you could stamp over this stencil too. Now I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to set this one aside and show you another idea. I have no idea if it will work, but what the heck, I'm going to try it. So this right here, the things you could do, you could cut right straight down those dots and separate these. But for this design, to get that whole rose feel, I want to leave them together. I'd probably add it to a blue note card. I may come back to it to finish it off. If I don't come back to it to finish it off here, I can always put it on Instagram and share in a future post. I feel like when I do videos and like when I do lives, I like to teach techniques more than what the finished card looks like. So I want to be able to show more ideas of ways of things you can do, and as opposed to just kind of gluing things together. Also, I'm afraid that I'll start shaking if I have to glue things together. See how I'm doing here? Okay. I think what I want to do with this is use this With Love here. This is a die set from Waffle Flower. You can see it here. It has the word with and love in like a font or block letters or whatever, and a shadow, and then also script. So you can use the script, you could use the block, or what I was going to do is add them together, one of each. And I would place it right there. And then where those little dots are, I would put little gemstones. I'd cover those green dots with probably light blue gemstones. I may come back to that, but I want to show you, I want to try another idea in hopes that it's useful. How's that? Okay, now I don't know if I have this in my supply list, Mike, so you might get mad at me. Oh, by the way, let me show you this. This is another type of layering stencil. This is from Waffle Flower too. Any stencils would be great for this. But this one does just a background of roses. See how pretty that is? This would look neat if you put down the stencil mask first and then do this, and then you would just have a rose pattern in each. I did try that out real quickly, light with ink here beforehand, and you can see, kind of get an idea of that, what that is. So it doesn't have to be a big stencil image over this. You could use really any stencils on top of this. Another thing that I had considered doing, and I'm just going to share these ideas and then try one. I could put this down, then maybe ink each one a different color, like this one pink, this one orange. You know, use material to mask them off. Do each one a different color and then stamp a little doggy or kitty in each of them. Wouldn't that be cute? So this is the Waffle Flower Best Friend and then the Waffle Flower Cattitude. I love that. And so you could stamp little images in there also. So ink it up and then stamp in it. And just leave this on the whole time so that you stay within that postage area. These, by the way, have little dies too. So if you don't want to stamp, you could just die cut the little guys. Aren't they cute? I love this because there's my little doggy right there. That would be Abaco, who's really annoying, always wanting love. All right, let's see. But I thought I would use, I think I'm going to use, oh, and by the way, I showed this briefly, but another thing you can do is these little postage mark stamps. I like them because they're small, so it's a good price point. She has a few different versions of them, but you can stamp those kind of overlapping the stamps and it makes it look more like postage. Do you mind showing that card example again that has those stamped on it?
Which one?
I'm going to owe Mike a beer after that. See how there's those little postage stamps, which really pulls out that postage feel. And you can stamp those different images across those. You can add little sentiments to each of them, small little sentiments. So many things you can do with them. But I'm going to try something else, and I have no idea if it'll work. How's that? Yes, you do need a grip mat. I'm telling you. Who said that? Somebody said, I need a grip mat. Sherry, you need a grip mat. Ask Santa for a gift card to Waffle Flower or order it now and get it later. I don't know. But these are fantastic. Now I use, and remember there's different sizes. So if you have a mini Misty, there's one that fits in there. There's a square if you prefer to just work with it outside of the Misty. But I like this size because I can use it inside and outside. Now, I thought it'd be fun. I'm going to see. Let's see if this will work. I have no idea. Mike, I don't think I have this on my supply list. I don't know if it's like. It's called Sketched Sweet Pea. I thought this was a beautiful set because there is a foil plate that you could use or a stamp that you could use. Then there are stencils that color it in. And there's a die that cuts it out. And I like that. And all of that's sold separately. And I like when you have those options. I've heard some people say that they're overwhelmed by, you know, when there's these bundles. The bundles pieces are sold separately so that you can pick and choose. You know, some people like to foil. Some people don't have a foil machine. So I really appreciate when companies give us the options so we can get more from our products and also, you know, use what we prefer to use. So I think I'm going to try, I wanted to see, I think this would be pretty to stamp like the flower across. What do you think? Should I stamp the flower across that using the stencil? And I'll show you a tip with stamping over stencils because sometimes that can be tricky. Now, since I am stamping, let's see. Yep, oh, I don't need that. I need this. Okay, so I'm gonna put my Misty back in here. Heather just said I'm doing great. Heather, you're an angel. Heather is one of the best crafters out there, and she's also a good friend of mine. And we went to a concert together a couple weeks ago, and it was after I had done a live. And she said that during my live, I stopped and I said, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. And she said to me, I could totally feel that. Like it would be a challenge for her too. It really isn't easy. The way Christina and Gina and Kathy do this just blows me away. Vicky, thank you for this super chat to buy Mike a beer. I will do that.
Thank you.
He thanks you. Okay, so I thought I will do this stamping on top. So I put my grip mat into my Misty, and it'll stay put in there. You really don't need your magnet anymore if you use that. Okay, now on top of that, I'm placing one of my die cuts, and then over it, that original basic stencil. And this, you can use anything you want over this. So I'm gonna stamp over it. Now, this is something I know will happen. When you stamp over a stencil edge, the stamping's not going to reach all the way up to the stencil edge because you've got like the ledge of the edge of the stencil, if that makes sense. So I'll show you my plans for how to fix that. Not sure if it'll work, but let me see. Before I do the stamping, I think I'm going to do a light application of color. Because I'm gonna like the blue. I think I'll stick with blue. Maybe, yeah, I'll stick with blue. Okay, I'm gonna do a light application of this Gina K Sea Glass just to define those areas. And the only reason I'm doing it now is so I don't have to do it later. Now I'm gonna go so light that if I put color on top of this, that this sea glass won't really show through. And also, I think I'm going to do those bold blues again. And so that will cover up this like teal color. If I was going to do like a pink rose, I might do like a yellow back here. And that way when the pink ink goes on top of it, it'll be fine. The pouncing brushes. If you go to my to my crafty gift guide video that went up yesterday, they are linked there. So it's the crafty gift guide. If you watch that video, I show the different brushes. I talk about pretty much everything I'm using today. When you use the Waffle Flower grip mat in your Misty stamping tool, you do not need the mouse pad anymore. Okay? Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating bullets. What?
Is the black pad the mouse pad you're talking about?
Yes, the black pad is the mouse pad that comes with the Misty. Okay, so I did a light, let me peel this up so you can see. See how it just gave definition to each of those postage. Libby's here. Hi, Libby. Libby's another one who is really good at doing lives. Okay, I think I'm going to do this guy. Oh, Rhonda, thank you for the super chat. Fruit salad. That means I get a glass of wine along with Mike's beer. Thank you. I could use that.
That's
all right.
danger.
Okay, so I just think I'm going to place that there, and I'm going to hope for the best. Now, because I have a sticky stamp that I've never used before, so it's very sticky, I don't want it to pull everything up, so I'm going to put that magnet down just to be safe. And I'll pull that up. Oh, Billy, thank you. More fruit salad and beer for us, Mike. We're going to have a good old time tonight. So I have my stamp lined up. I still have that stencil in place so that I don't get any stamping over that dot area. So if you don't have a stencil like this, another thing that you could do is use a stencil with big open areas, like a big dot stencil, and then stamp on top over those little dots. You know, there's so many ways you can use your stencils with other stencils or stencils with stamps. So I did stencils with other stencils. Now I'm doing stencils with stamps. This is Gina K Black Amalgam ink. Now I've never used this stamp before, so I'm gonna have to stamp it a couple times. Stamps are like teenagers. I don't know if I've ever said this in a class before. Stamps are like teenagers. You need, before you ask them to do something, it's good to give them a little TLC. You know, tell them they're doing a good job. Good kid, you're awesome. Will you go take out the trash? It's the same thing with stamps. If you give them a little love first, like rub a dry cloth on top of them or practice stamping them, then they will more likely stamp better. I forgot to do that. So normally I would just wipe my hand or dry cloth across it. That way it'll take the ink better. So again, it's good to give stamps a little love before you stamp with them. But this ink is pretty forgiving, so we should be okay. Yes, there is, Martha asked if there's a discount code. Waffle Flower, who did the grip mat and the stencils and stamps and dies I'm using today, she's offering 20% off. Okay, so 20% off. Somebody asked a question. Would any stamp work for this technique? Now, yes, you could, with this particular one, you could, let me rephrase that. You want a stamp that when you lay it on top, it covers all of the areas. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want a small stamp that you wouldn't be able to define in that open space. It would be great to use a background stamp on this that has like a repetitive like text or something, or a big image like this. So I'm hoping that I can see enough of this image to be able to tell it's a flower going across. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me carefully remove the stencil because there's black ink on it. And you will notice that, now this is for those of us who overthink things. I know Heather's here, she's an overthinker like me. Betsy's out there, she's an overthinker. It really doesn't matter. But sometimes when you stamp over a stencil, see how it didn't stamp all the way up to the edge? It's okay. In fact, I think this actually worked really well. But if you want to make your stamping go right up to the edge, just go in with a black pen and fill that in. No one will ever know. But I'm gonna leave it as is. Okay, so this is how I clean stamps normally. If I want to really clean my stamp, like if I'm gonna switch to maybe a light color with this, I will use the Ultra Clean and Scrubber block that I showed you. Aw, thank you. You all are too nice. Yeah, in the description below, right at the top, it says for visual supply list of products used today, click that link and it'll open a new tab and it'll have a picture of all the supplies I'm using. And as I'm using them, Mike's adding to it, so it makes it easier for you to see. I feel like seeing a picture of like this stamp set is easier than finding the words sweet pea on a list. I don't know. I'm hoping it works. Mike did put that in there. But remember, if you're shopping at Waffle Flower, 20% off everything. That includes those Waffle Flower grip mats. Man, that's a good one. I thought she was going to say those were excluded. So she's super sweet. The code for Waffle Flower is JM Ink. I think it needs to be all capitals. I don't know. But everybody say thank you to Nina for that generosity, because that's a big deal for a little company.
What's the code? What's the cleaner? So I can add it.
Oh.
No, I mean
the stamp cleaner?
Yeah.
The stamp cleaner is Ultra Clean.
Okay.
From Hero Arts. This is just rubbing alcohol. And I usually only do one spray and then wipe the front and the back, but I use black ink. And I don't want to accidentally smear that black ink on my project when I return this. Someone asked how my shoulder is. It's good, believe it or not. My surgeon told me if I committed to doing physical therapy hardcore, that it would heal quicker, and he was right. Yeah, I'm at physical therapy all the time. My physical therapist's name is Rob, and I really like him, but I also want to kick him because sometimes it's not pleasant, but it definitely works. Okay, I'm going to heat set this black ink because I want to rub or apply ink over it. So I'm going to heat set this. It might be loud, and I apologize. All right. Oh, I couldn't find, yeah, if you weren't here at the beginning of the video, I couldn't find this stencil, which I needed for all the techniques, and I was panicking. I'm going to need a shower after this, for sure. All right. My stamping tool is, okay, this is the original. So I have a 6.5 by 8.5. There is a grip mat that fits in the Mini Misty. I don't know what size that is, but I'm sure on the website, if you look at her grip mat section, it would say, it would tell you, I'm thinking. Maybe somebody in the comments would know. Yeah, the surgery, I had rotator cuff surgery. You know, I wouldn't choose to do it every Tuesday, but I will say the recovery was better than I thought. Day 3, I was not a happy camper, but you know, other than that, yeah. Okay. So I'm lining this back up again, and now I'm going to, oh dear, I have to find them. I'm going to use the coordinating stencils for this. Now, yeah, I'm going to run out of time here, so let's see. Now, these stencils are fun because Nina is one of those who really spends a lot of time making sure that you can follow how to use the stencils without a guide needed. So I don't know if you can see here. Let me see. Let me put something black behind it. Maybe that works. Okay, so if you see here, this is 1. So that means everything in this etched line here, I'm going to do first. And it tells me even, look at this. This is going to help me today. It says medium. So you want to put that on with the medium application. Then number 2, you go over here, and it's everything in this, and you want to go dark. So this means that's the base layer. This is the dark on top. And then it has the same on the other. So let's go ahead and get started with this because I don't want to keep you guys all day. Also, we have company coming over for dinner. That was a bad idea. Okay. I'm going to line this up. Now, okay, I'm going to do something. This is where I'm going to lose people here. I'm going to lose people here. Okay. I like to cut my stencils apart. I know, people don't like this. But this stencil is really, I know, it's screaming. It's like the lambs. If this stencil is actually 2 stencils in 1, right? So I want to treat it as 2 stencils. This may not make sense to you, but it makes sense to me. I'm sorry if you have nightmares tonight. But, you know, I got to do what I got to do. Okay, so now I can line this up. Wait, this is not the first one. This is the first one. Okay, I go for number 1. Let me show you another. I'll show you a trick after I do number 1 here. Another trick. Okay. Now this one I have a feeling is going to move on me because of how I did this. All right, I'm going to do some green over this. This is the lighter, so I'm going to go in with that kiwi color. What's my husband making for dinner? Oh, Audrey, you know us well. Yes, he's cooking. We're just doing spaghetti and meatballs because I invited people over. We usually do steak on Sunday night, but I was bold and I invited people over without asking him. And so I said, we'll just do spaghetti and meatballs. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to put light green over this. And I'm using this to kind of mask the different areas, but also to keep the little parts from lifting up. You could also tape it down. I'm noticing I did not dry my ink well enough, so this black ink's going to smear. So I might have to try this again, but for now, I'm going to go with it. All right. Were there other questions?
Yeah.
All right. And by the way, I really like the style of this flower. That's why I chose it. And I think she's got these in a few different types. This is the sweet pea, but I think she has it in a few different other styles of flowers. Okay, so there's my base of green. You can see a little bit of that black bled there. There are a few things I could do. I could stop right now and heat set it some more, but I'm not going to. The other thing you could do is just put a heavier amount of ink on top, but I'm not going to do that either. And I can't find my inkstand. Here it is. Okay. This is Let Us Celebrate, and I'm going to do this for stencil number 2. Let me show you one thing you can do. If you have trouble seeing that number on there, when you get your stencil, oh boy, put the number on there yourself with a Sharpie And then, sorry, I put a piece of Scotch tape over it, the Sharpie, because if I don't put Scotch tape over that, when I clean it with rubbing alcohol, it would just take that number away. That way I can see it better and I don't have to pay as close attention when I'm crafting. Okay. Were there questions, Mike, while I do this with darker ink?
Yeah.
What we got?
What are hybrid inks and what are their advantage?
Hybrid inks. So hybrid inks, here's the thing with hybrid inks. Hybrid inks, all hybrid inks are a little bit different. It depends on the company. It depends on who's you're using. But they're kind of more between a dye and a pigment ink. But honestly, I treat them usually as a dye ink. For example, I believe Hero Arts, their core ink line is a combination of hybrid and dye, and you just use them interchangeably. But in most cases, hybrid inks are more like a dye ink than any other type of ink. In most cases. Look at that. Look at that layering. I love it.
How often do you clean your grip mat? I think you answered that, but I don't.
The grip mat, I don't clean it a whole lot. Usually you can just, I'll have like a wet cloth on hand. I'll just wet one of these and have it near me while I'm crafting. I can wipe it off that way. You can use some soapy water, something gentle, or you can use a stamp cleaner to clean it. But it's going to stain by some inks. Like a red ink is going to stain it, and that's okay. An inked stamp is a love stamp. An inked grip mat is a loved grip mat. Mine happens to be new. I took a new one out to film my crafty gift guide video. Otherwise, it would be pretty stained too. Okay.
Now, some people had trouble with the supply lists coming up, and I can't see that, but we can add the product list to the description when we're done, right?
Okay. Yep, he'll do that. I will put the list in the description below, but you should be able to tap it and be able to pull it up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, we're winging it here, folks. I'm not really sure what we're doing. But remember, if you're placing an order, be sure to use the discount code, the Waffle Flower discount code of JM Ink. All right. What other questions?
Are Altenew inks your go-to?
Are Altenew inks my go-to? No. Well, they have a lot of colors, you know, so a lot of times I'll end up reaching there, but I like Altenew inks a lot. The colors are great, and they have those color families. Pink Fresh are fun because they have little color families. Gina K has like a classic line of inks, like classic reds, classic greens. It's like a great starting palette. I love it, and she's adding some more unique colors in over time. I know sweet peas aren't usually blue, are they? Anyway, Concord and Ninth has gorgeous inks, and they have cardstock to match. So it's Hero Arts. I reach for a lot. Did I say that? You know, it just really, to me, boils down to whatever color I want to use on a project. All right, so there's the first. So I went to 3 there, now 4. I'm going to line that up. This one I would cut up, but I'm afraid I'll lose more people if I do. The lamb starts screaming. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, Concord and Ninth inks are lovely too. And, you know, Waffle Flower is friends with these companies. Like they really all work together well. And so I know, in fact, I was on a crafty call this morning, just of friends talking, and it was somebody from Altenew, somebody from Waffle Flower, somebody from Spellbinders. We're just all happen to be friends, and we all work together well. And that's one of the things I like most about this industry. I can't believe haven't messed this up yet. Give me time. Give me time.
What is your favorite metallic ink?
Metallic ink. Okay. Metallic ink, you want to go pigment because that will sit on top of the paper and give you more shine. There are many great options out there. Right now, I seem to reach most for Honeybee. They have a silver and they have a gold, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful. If you really want your ink to be, your metallic inks to be bold, you want to try to double stamp if you can. Then just put more ink down. Okay. Now there are these final ones. I don't know that I'm going to do all the final layers because I really went dark with the second layer. That's another thing you got to remember is just because a stencil set has 4 stencils in it or whatever doesn't mean you have to use them all. You can simplify, especially if you're new to a product. You don't have to do it all the layers. It really isn't important. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly, this is Indigo from Hero Arts. I think it's a little bit darker than that Ride the Wave. I'm hoping it's a bit darker. I got to show you what this color looks like. It's so gorgeous. Let me show you. Let me, hang on. Drink. Look at that color. Boom. So pretty. So pretty. Okay. Not cleaning stencils because who wants to clean? Okay, so now we're going to peel this off and look at how we have that flower stretched across. Isn't that fun? So if you wanted to, you could cut those apart. But now with this, you guys can't find anything. Oh dear.
Don't worry, it's in the room somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere in here. I might have to dig in the trash like before. Okay, I'm putting my grip mat back in here. I'm telling you, you guys need a grip mat. Ask Santa. Ask Santa for one. Okay, now with this, you could stamp a variety of things on it. I think I'm going to go back, like I showed you before, with this one. I'll probably do that with love. And I will finish this off later. I don't know, maybe I'll do, yeah, I think no, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to probably do it here because I'm going so long as is. But this is what I'll do. So this, I love these. This is a big solid stamp right here, okay? This, so if you take this and stamp with it, you stamp all of these together, and then you can use this die to cut it out. And Waffle Flower has several different dies that do that. But I really like this one because of all the love messages. Sending love is a great for any occasion, right? And adore you, lots of love. I think those are good for friends and family. So what I plan to do is white heat emboss. I'm not going to do it now just to save time, but I'm going to white heat emboss on black cardstock. And I will cut out Sending Love and just place it right here. And then I'll put everything onto bold blue cardstock. What's the question? Oh, somebody gave me a super... Martha, lemon character jumping in excitement with his heart beating out of his chest. Oh, I think it's a emoji spoke out. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm just very thankful you're all here and putting up with me kind of running around here. But I will finish these and put them on Instagram. But I do want to mention a few other things. Also, and if I don't do that, there is this hot foil plate. That's the same thing. I think they're the same ingredients. Yeah, the same ingredients, but bigger. And you can foil it and then use the die to cut them out. So if I look at this and it's too small there, I'll switch to this and it'll be bigger. But that'll go right across it. One question I get a lot in videos is why I put my sentiments on top of things. Like I plan to put With Love right here, and I plan to put my sentiment here. People ask that a lot instead of why don't I put it next to it? The reason is I feel the most important part of a card is the sentiment, at least for me, unless I choose to leave the sentiment off. And so I want the sentiment in the focal point of the card, and the focal point is usually the floral or whatever you do. So I'll just kind of put it on the focal point, but a little bit lower. So right about here, right about here. So that's my groove. Everybody is different, and you do you, whatever you want to do. Okay, now on here, here I gotta find things again. Like, let's see this one. This is these are two of the. Here I go, looking for things again. I need like a cleaning fairy. Has anybody asked for one of those for Christmas? A crafty cleaning fairy? Forget about the rest of the house. Come on. Okay, so this is the original one. It has all these little postage things like hugs inside and such. This one is the fall collage. So this has like warm wishes. This is the love one, which is the new one. It has you're my favorite with love. Now I'm only going to do a few of these now because I'm not really sure where I'm going to want them all to go. And I need to come up with my sentiment. But what you can do is kind of have these going across some of your empty areas. So maybe this kind of going up here and this down here. Are there any questions, Mike?
Yes. Let me see. What's the difference between the Waffle Flower grip mat and the mat that comes with the Altenew stamp wheel mat?
They're similar in that they're made with similar materials. They're made with stamp material. The Waffle or the Altenew one only is available in that square, which is great. I use it in videos. A lot of these products, there's multiple options, so I try to use different things in different videos so you can see them all in action. And the back side has like a grid. It's like bumpy on the back side, so it's easier to peel off your desk, which is either good or bad depending on how you want to use it. But they both work wonderfully. If you have a stamp wheel, that sticky mat's great to work on. Really, there's a lot of great options. Thank goodness, right? Wouldn't it be awful if there weren't? Okay, so now this one, I want to stamp on here, but if I stamp it in black, I feel like it's going to fight with everything else. So I'm going to stamp with a gray. Let's think about what gray. Hang on there. I'll be back. I think I'm going to use cobblestone. No, I want dove. Where's my dove, Mike? Here it is. Crisis averted. I'm going to use Waffle Flower or Concord and Ninth here. What's the stencil used on the card, first card, that looks like it's just the edges? You mean this one here? This comes in the Postage Collage stencil set, and it's on that supply list right at the top of it. Does the grip mat slip in the Misty when the grid is on the back? There is the grid is cut to be a little bit smaller than the sticky mat, so there's a little bit of stick around the back edge. And I like that because it's just a little stick, so it's easy to take out. You could cut your grid smaller so there's a little more stick, or you could skip that grid on the back altogether. Totally up to you. Okay. I don't think these stamps are clean, so who knows what I'll get. But that's okay. I'm going to stamp with Dove ink. Oh, Mary Kay. Thank you. Oh, did she say, what's it say?
I'm back to crafting after shoulder replacement.
Shoulder replacement. Oh, bless your sweetheart. You deserve all the crafting time in the world.
Is Concord and Ninth pigment?
Nope, it's dye ink. It is dye ink also, but it is a foam pad. What?
No.
What? No, what, did I do something?
No, I'm ahead.
You were hand signaling me. Oh, okay. Kim, thank you so much. Bless your heart. You all, I'm just glad you're here. I'm stamping this multiple times because I chose a lighter gray ink and I want to build up to the darkness I want instead of starting with dark and regretting it. So Concord and Ninth inks, they're dye inks, but it's a foam pad. See how that's like a kind of a sponge? Whereas, I don't know if you can tell, Hero Arts is a felt or a firm pad. Personal preference. I use them both. I go for the color. I go for whatever color I want. So now I can add these little, that builds like that postage feel to it, and then add a sentiment. And I'll do the same thing on here. But I have to wrap up because I've already been jabbering at you for an hour and 20 minutes, and I want to be able to answer some last questions. But what I plan to do is these are sized nicely to go onto a note card. I'll probably do a bold blue note card behind it. See how nice that fits on the front? I'll probably do a bold blue note card because then that bold blue will also show through those little dots, which I think is cool. And I like dimension. You know I love my dimension, but I don't love to use foam tape. So what I would do is die cut a few more of these from some scrap cardstock or like from some packaging that I had left over, glue it behind there so this is nice and thick, and then when you glue it to your card, it has that dimension. And it'll be nice and strong and go through the mail nicely. So with these, I show that you can put down a stencil and then another stencil on top of it, or put down a stencil and stamp over it. Let's see. So I will just add a few more of these little postage stamps to it. I will put all of the supplies in that link list and put a sentiment on it, and I will share pictures later on. I just want to make sure I answer some questions. Were there some other questions on there? Or maybe there are no questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you use them on the Better Press? The inks. Which inks? Are you talking about inks? The Better Press, if you've never heard of the Better Press, on my crafty gift guide list too. It's from our friends at Spellbinders. It is really cool, and I do believe that it's going to take an even bigger role in card making in the new year, because more and more companies are coming out with the press plates that you use with it. And the press plates that you use with it also can be used to foil, like with the foiling machine. But I do have a video I've shot that I hope to get up maybe tomorrow night that is about Better Press. And yes, you can use it. I've been using any dye ink on it. I do recommend a firm pad like the one Altenew or Hero Arts has, because that way when you dab on it, it doesn't go in the crevices. If you use a softer foam pad like Concord and 9th, it will go in the crevices. But you can definitely do it. I've used all types of inks with it. You can also use a brayer to ink the Better Press. Catherine Puller inks. I haven't used those in a long time, but I know that they're a foam ink pad like Concord and 9th. And at first I struggled with foam ink pads, and now I've kind of gotten used to them. You have to ink up your stamp a little bit different. So, you know, I'm just starting to use foam ink pads again. I know Simon Says Stamps Positively Saturated ink is that, and Concord and 9th is that. So I'm getting used to using the foam pad instead of the felt. But they're all great. If you get a small stamp company ink from them, it's going to be high quality. I do fear buying ink pads at like the big stores, like the really, really big stores, because sometimes they have those ink pads sitting in the warehouse for a while, and so they're kind of old by the time you get to buy them. So I like to buy them from the smaller craft companies. Question, what is your favorite peach ink? Pink Fresh has 2 lines, like sets of 4 inks that work well together. One of them has like the coral reef color in it, which is a more of a red peach. And then one has the mimosa color in it, and that's more of an orangey peach. But I also love, one of my favorite colors of all time is this coral red from Altenew, and that's more of a red peach. Question, have you used Gina die cutting machine with felt? I have not, but I do think in the manual it mentions you can use felt, so it might say in the manual what setting to use. But I haven't tried that yet, but I'm sure you would be able to. Mike missed one. Why don't I use oxide inks much? I forget. I forget to use oxide inks a lot, and I actually have a technique plan that I plan to do very soon. So they're fantastic inks. Anything Tim has a hand in creating is going to be excellent quality and unique, because he is very involved in it and he's a brilliant mind. Don't tell him I said that. So it's not just him developing an ink. There's reason behind it, and oxide inks are so unique and so fantastic. I just need to use them more. Can you use your foil plates as Better Press? You cannot. It's a one-way street. You can use your Better Press plates to foil, but you can't use your foil plates in the Better Press. Spellbinder says it's too thick and it might hurt your Better Press. I'm going to see if I can come up with a way to use them, but as of right now, they say no. Were there any others? I'm trying to answer as many as I can here. Nina, if you're still here, can you use the discount code more than once? I'm not sure. The code is good, I think, till tomorrow night at midnight. It's JM Inc. and it's 20% off. Cindy asked, can you use your Waffle Flower grip mat as a gel plate? It is very different. A gel plate is more cushy. A Waffle Flower grip mat is like a clear stamp, more firm. You could do some of the same techniques on the grip mat that you do on a gel plate, but it's gonna be different. So I do know, because when I first talked about the grip mat, I got a bunch of questions about that. And Nina did do a blog post on the Waffle Flower blog talking about the similarities and differences between a grip mat and a gel gel plate. So you can go read that. They are very different. Like the grip mat doesn't have as much give to it, so it's a little more firm. Best embossing ink pad, Sarah asked. I just have been using Waffle Flower for ages, but Versamark for ages, but there are many great embossing inks out there. I know Gina has one, Simon has one. There are a lot of them out there, but this one is just what I've had forever, and so I've kind of stuck with it. Let me do a couple more questions. Do you use hybrid inks for Copic coloring? I am not the person to ask about Copic coloring because I am not a great with coloring, very insecure about my coloring. I use black ink. I use Gina K Amalgam ink because that is alcohol safe. This is actually good for everything. You can watercolor with it, stamp with it, alcohol ink or alcohol marker with it. So I like having one ink that I can use for everything. And that's why I go with this one. Question, would you post pictures if you finish them on Instagram, please? I will. I always think right afterwards I'm going to finish it and put it up, but after this I have what I refer to as a live hangover, and I am done. And I also have company coming in 15 minutes. White inks, just answer a couple more here. White inks, I use the Hero Arts Unicorn White Pigment ink a lot. There's a lot of good ones out there. But a tip, this white ink only works as well as it is re-inked. So you want to get the re-inker and make sure you keep it nice and juicy because it'll give you better results if you keep it inked. You can actually feel like, this is a new one I bought to just replace an old one, and it's heavy because it's got a lot of ink in it. Judy, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up with that. I'm sorry that I don't have finished cards, but I wanted to be able to show you the two different techniques. Remember that Nina was sweet to give us 20% off your entire order, and that includes some of the things that I showed that are sold out, but you can buy them, pre-order, and she'll ship them when they're available in January. Discount code is JM Ink. I will put the supplies I used in the description, but I already have in the description a link that says for a visual supply list of products used today. Click that link and it'll go to a new tab and all the pictures will be there, and links to the videos I talked about at the beginning of this one will be there too. So yep, JM Ink gives you 20% off. Thank you, Nina. Bless your heart for doing that. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate all the well thought out products you bring to us. All right. If I miss a question here, you can send it through my website, and we'll get back to you as soon as I recover from my live hangover. All the information's in the description below. I'm not good at this wrap up thing. Oh, I didn't do a giveaway. Oh dear, Mike's slow at picking giveaway winners. Just great. Go close your eyes, scroll up and down. Let's do a giveaway. I'm going to do a giveaway. I'm going to do $50 giveaway to Waffle Flower. How about that? $50 gift card. Kay Furnish. Kay, I'm so glad. Kay is like always in comments, so encouraging. Kay, please email me through my website and you will get a $50 gift card to Waffle Flower. That's from me. I don't know. I just think it's fun to give away things. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I know there are 1,000,001 ways you could spend your Sunday afternoon, football and much, much more. But I'm very glad that you joined me, and bear with me as I get more comfortable doing these lives. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful Sunday evening, and I'll see you soon.